Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson. As the name suggests, my guests, experts in their field, and I dive deeply into topics relevant to businesses large or small. It could be SEO or marketing, HR management or social media management. Talking with the Experts is all things business by business owners for business owners. I know a lot of business owners are challenged with different aspects of their enterprises, and I saw this as a way of having experts address those challenges. This is not to say that what is said is the gospel, far from it. It is merely one person's perspective on their chosen topic. So, why a podcast? I believe that most people are time poor these days. Most just don't have the time to read a book or watch a video. They could, however, find the time to listen to a 30-minute or less podcast, whether it's driving to work, doing the dishes, or going for a walk. Just plug in the headphones and off you go.
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name is Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and my guest today is Gerry Morris, and he is from Book Speakers Direct, and Gerry's a really great friend of mine. And Gerry's been involved in the professional speaking industry since 2001, and he has had the joy of working with an array of wonderful, inspiring speakers and fabulous clients. It was 16 years of experience booking speakers and 4 years of running events. He knows firsthand both sides of the speaking and events industry, and in 2018 he created Book Speakers Direct to be an alternative way for clients to deal with Speakers Direct, and then came along the world pandemic. Welcome, Gerry. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, absolute pleasure to be here, Rose. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, Book Speakers Direct is really a great platform for speakers and those wanting to get online. I know that we collaborated early this year to get a huge event going in South Australia, which was very well received. Can you just tell me a little bit more about how the speakers in that, I guess, area, received the event and how it's helped their businesses?
All right, yeah, lovely. Thanks for the chance to chat about that. It was for myself. That essay bouncing back event came about because just needed answers. For the events industry and for speakers, there's not exactly a helpline. It's going like when's things going to get better? When can we get back on stage? What's happening with the events industry? So I thought, well, how about we get a bunch of great speakers together, and also some CEOs and real decision makers within the industry, and bring their expertise together. So I'm a great believer is that on one side of the events industry, you've got the events people, and on the other side, you got the speakers. So it's all about like bringing them together. So I'm all about collaboration. So when I asked certain people, would they be involved? I loved the enthusiasm behind it. Same as yourself, Rose, like with the team behind it. Everybody said, yes, this needs to happen. People needed answers. Anybody approached us said, yes, would love to be. So for the speakers there, obviously we had Charlene Lynch, the fabulous Charlene. And we had Gary Edwards, who I thought did an amazing job on the day. And we also had Derek McManus, the Star Force officer that was shot 14 times.
Yeah, they've all been on the podcast. So, it's been great.
Yeah, all your guests. So, know a thing or two about resilience. Definitely with Charlene and with Derek. And again, going back to Gary, I thought he was exceptional because he had 3 roles. And he had to be the MC and the host of the event. And then he was a presenter himself. And then he also did a fantastic job as the facilitator and asking the CEOs some very poignant questions. So just quickly on that, we had the head of Adelaide Convention Centre, Simon Burgess. And then we also had the head of the National Wine Centre, which is a beautiful venue here in Adelaide. And we had the head of tourism, the speakers, sorry, not speakers, but we had the tourism bureau people, a convention bureau. And we also had two amazing ladies who ran very large events companies. So we got them in to share theirs. So I think for the speakers, there was an opportunity to speak to camera, which is a whole different ball game, of course. And again, that's why I think Gary did really well, because there's one thing of walking on stage and there's an audience and you feed off them, as compared to looking down the camera and remembering your lines and getting it right each time. And I forgot that Gary hadn't been in that position. So I thought he did terrific. And again,
did.
when it came to facilitating, he did a wonderful job of asking the questions. So I think that was good. And that was also a good way to showcase the speakers, just to say, okay, we can't bring speakers in, and we have great speakers right here on our doorstep. So let's have a look at what we've got. A lot of times people forget just how good, how good things are right under your nose. So I was like, that was a good chance to showcase the speakers.
Yeah, and it was a really great event, and I know that we had a lot of people watching online. So, it promoted SA, I guess, the events sector in a good light, which was really great, because a lot of people outside of the events arena, didn't really know what happens behind the scenes, and so it gave them a glimpse of what the work that goes on behind the scenes to get an event going. And it was quite good. So tell me a little bit more about Book Speakers Direct and why you started it, and what entails for a speaker to become involved.
All right. Yeah. I almost feel like it's a shameless plug, me talking about my business.
No, that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. Yeah. Well, funny enough, it's like a quick history lesson that comes to it. There is about 20 years experience behind it. My wife, Donna Morris, who really the brains behind it all, is we've been in a partnership. We actually lived here in South Australia. We were moving to Queensland back in 2001. And we found out about the speaking industry by our friend. We knew absolutely nothing about it, other than going to a couple of events ourselves, and got thrown in the deep end when we got to Queensland. I like to joke that the fun part was I joke about it now, but not at the time. But we thought we were going to be dealing with all these celebrities and well-known legends of sport and the likes. And we got the phones all set up in our home office. Day one, it didn't ring. Day two, it didn't ring. Day three, I'm phoning Telstra going, have you connected the right numbers? Why is nobody calling? And then soon realized that nobody knew about us. Nobody knew about that company that we were working at the time. So we were very fresh and green, and it was a big learning curve. And as the saying goes, you always remember your first time. Is that I remember an inquiry came through, and somebody wanted one of the Brisbane newsreaders to host an event. And then I was thinking, I'm in Sunshine Coast, so I was getting regional television and not getting Brisbane television. So I'd phoned up Channel 9 and Channel 7, but say Channel 9 was the first one I called and said, look, again with this accent of mine, this broken Irish one, I said, look, we're new to the country, and my son's doing a school project. Who reads the news for you? And they told me, there was, I think it was Heather Ford at the time. And next thing I put down the phone, picked it up again and said, can I speak to Heather Ford, please? And they just put me through. And I was going, okay, that went well.
Wow.
Yeah, next thing. But then and I think it was Bruce Page as well. But
I remember Bruce Payne.
Bruce Payne, lovely man. He's still in the phone book. Sorry, in my mobile phone. And so when I was speaking to him, and they tell him what the event was all about, and next thing we're off and running, and I love my sport, and there's Lee Matthews was always a hero of mine growing up, and I had a potential job for him. And I called him one time and it was, hello, Mr. Matthews, it's Gerry Morris here from blah, blah, blah. And that all went well, and got him this speaking gig. And then the second time I called him, and same voice, hello, Mr. Matthews. Oh, g'day, Gerry. And I go, oh, hang on. I said, I'm not the only Irishman you know. And you're the only one who's got my bloody mobile number. I was like, and you just treat people normal. That was the big secret for me. The big learning curve. Treat people as this how you want to be treated. And on we went, Then I also realized that Lee didn't mind hearing from me. Every time he got a call from me, it meant there was about $6,000 going in his pocket. So I was going, oh, there's a bit of a power shift here. We went about it. It was a huge learning curve. We got to deal with some amazing speakers and great clients. And just while I go off on my funny stories type thing, there was a late on a Friday, I think it was, and it was a phone call, and it was for Donna. There was a gentleman on the other line, and late in the day, and sorry, like Donna's not here. And then I started joking with him, going, like, the truth of it is, Donna always leaves, and I have to do all the work, just having a bit of fun. And he goes, I hear you. And we're chatting away. And I said, oh, look, by the way, who will I say is calling? And he goes, oh, it's Gough Whitlam.
Ah,
I was like,
really?
I was like standing up straight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we end up having a great chat. It was a case of he was telling me, look, Gerry, I'm getting on in my years and I don't remember long speeches, so I'm pretty good for like cutting ribbons and waving and a couple of lines. Oh, like, don't worry, Mr. Whitlam. I'll make sure everybody knows like not to do this. But yeah, it was a real treat,
Wow.
And I think like a big kid, I hung up and goes, who am I going to tell? So I called my mum.
Oh, that's really exciting news, though. Wow.
Oh, it was. So yeah, and we got to deal with some amazing people along the way. There was one time, so there was executive PAs were having a huge conference, and they wanted a PA who's had to work with somebody in a very high role, very high demand, and a bit stressful, and how do you get around that? And lo and behold, I actually got Nelson Mandela's PA, Zelda LaGrange, her name is. I tracked her down, and the client was happy for the pair to come to Canberra and whatnot. And, like one of my favorite human beings ever. And I felt close to greatness. I was like, oh my God. And, but she was quite funny. She had a very stern personality, which wasn't funny. And it took a while to break that down. I was going, you're ruining the fuzziness of this for me. But I could imagine her in real life. She would have had to make tough decisions. Mr. Mandela would have probably said, yes, yes, yes. And she was going, no, no, no. And after like a few communications with her, I got a chuckle in and we got on pretty well. And that was all very cool.
Oh, wow. What an exciting life you have. So tell me how Book Speakers Direct actually works.
Yeah, so that's the question you asked in a sense. So I just wanted to give it a bit of history where, there's 20 years that have gone into this, and we looked at what speakers like and what they don't like. And there was things what I liked as being a bureau person and as a speaking consultant, and there was things that I didn't like. There was things like having to play favorites and exclusives. These are our exclusives, so only sell them. When I'd always thought that there might be somebody else who's better for the job. And then other bureaus or agencies go, no, they're ours, you can't play with them. And I'm thinking, like, that's human beings, they're not yours, and they're not, you can't play with them. They're not like Ken and Barbie dolls, this one mine or whatever. So I wanted to change things. And there was one night I might have had a Guinness or two. And it just started coming to me, what if we did the opposite? Because we look at companies who do the opposite, the very opposite of what's out there. And it seems to work. If you look at Airbnb or Uber, they do the opposite, or another good one for us as part of that learning was, where do you go for booking your flights direct? Like Webjet.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's some people who want to go to a consultant, a travel consultant, and have their hand held and through the process. And there's others who just go, I know what I want, I know what I'm looking for, and I'll look at things that's within my range, and then I'll deal with that thing direct. So that's where we're starting to play in my head is going, yeah, give people the opportunity to deal with them direct. Because, yeah, I like, again, when I was consulting, if I thought somebody was perfect for that client, if I was thinking like, this lady is your ideal presenter, and they'll be going, oh, I don't know, and going, let me set up a conversation. You talk to them, and you'll see why I think that that person just right for you. And that always worked. But my old employers used to think, you can't do that. You can't like have them talking to each other. They always wanted to keep that distance. And I thought, well, if they're going to put them in front of their audience, their staff, 100, 300, 500 people, they're going to want to talk to them somewhere along the lines. So why not start it at the beginning? And so every time that the speaker and the client would chat, I'd speak to them the day after. How'd the call go? Or they'd phone me straight away and go, oh my God, lock them in. And we see what you mean. Perfect for us. And I was going, there it is again, like book direct, click the speakers, and it's probably going back to like the essay bouncing back. It's a bit like a clattering, so there's the heart in the middle and the two hands, and just bring the two parties together and make it easier. So again, how does Book Speakers Direct work is by showing the contact details. So nearly every other agency is directed to calling them, so that this person has control of the conversation and who they should suggest and who they can recommend. Now, it's also some people are absolutely fantastic at that. I pride myself on being knowledgeable, and Donna's very knowledgeable and think who's right. So we can provide that service as well for people. But yeah, so ours is the opposite. Here's the phone number, here's the email address. So if they're interested in that speaker, they fit the category of what they want, even fit in their budget, because we show the price of the speakers as compared to anybody else. So it's about showing, here's the contact details, here's their social media platforms, you go to their website, everything that this potential client needs is there on our webpage. And they can deal with them direct, or they can give us a buzz or drop us an email going, can you find out if they're available or not, if they don't want to make that contact. But yeah, it was about like that opposite. Here we are, deal with them direct. And then we had a subscription model, so that's very different. Is speakers, and justifiably, would be thinking, why should I pay you, Gerry? Why should I be giving you my money when there's no guarantee of work? Which makes good sense too. But we look at it, it's a marketing platform, and you got to get yourself out there. It's a bit like if you're going to sell your house, there's one or two websites you're going to go to. If you're selling your car, there's one or two websites you're going to go to. And everybody just goes there. So we're going to build this. And we started building it. And it was all going pretty well. And, there's this bit of a COVID flu thing going in. So that way of doing things for us, which is very Irish, which is doing the opposite. Here's all the contact details. The speakers want to be here. And here's the opportunity for speakers to engage with the client from the very beginning. And also not have to rely on a third party, remembering them and how to sell them and what uniqueness that they can bring. Because a lot of times with a client, it might just be one little thing. It might be that speaker is going like, oh yeah, I used to work for KPMG or something. Oh, you'll know what their system's like. And that's the thing, which a consultant would never remember all that detail. So yeah, so do the opposite. Go figure with me, and build it, they will come. A bit like for yourself, what's happening with the latest news that's coming your way. I won't break it now. You can let you do that later.
Yeah, I will later.
Yeah, do that later. But yeah, so it sat there with me. I thought I was a genius. I was up all night till about 3 a.m, scribbling all down. And then it took a while before I shared it with a speaker to see what he thought. And he said, you might want to check out a company in the States, right, which is eSpeakers. And I went to e-speakers and I felt a bit deflated. I wasn't quite the genius I thought I was, that sometimes nothing is new, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, but you put the Gerry spin on it, which is,
yeah. Yeah, thank you. And the big difference though, when I looked at them again, because I was deflated for a while and then I pumped my tires back up and realized that they actually still control the conversation. So contact the speaker goes via them, and then they send it on to the client and tell them what the response was. And I goes, that's not what I want. I want direct contact straight away so they can just get on with it. So I was tires all pumped up again. I thought, no, I'm going to do this. And yeah, things were happening with the bureau I work with, and going, I don't want to do this, and I want to do my own thing. And I wanted to roll that 20 years of experience into something new. And yeah, so we got started, and that damn COVID thing came along.
Yes, so bloody COVID.
Yeah.
Anyway, are you planning any more major events like SA Bouncing Back?
Yeah, we started looking into that, and there's, because we'd like to think we were the first to do that,
We were, honestly, we were.
Oh, we absolutely were, Rose.
And we slayed it.
Yeah, slayed it, and then a few other people come along going, oh, this is what we'll do. And it's interesting where I will, most likely we'll do it again. I think it's time for a follow-up, because one of the big things that came out of that for me was Jason at the National Wine Center there. He was saying, like, you plan, and then the goalposts get moved. And you plan, and bang, the goalposts are moved. And back then, when I think it was maybe July when we held this event, it was like, I was feeling that the light at the end of the tunnel was just that bit brighter. And we were getting there, like we had X amount of great days here in South Australia.
Yeah, you did for a long time, and then
yeah, restrictions were coming down. Restaurants are starting to open again. You start thinking, like, obviously there's the social distancing. So if you wanted a conference for 100 people, you probably need a venue for like 200 to 300 people.
Yeah.
So, but there was light, and then we've gone, yay, we're going to get back to normal. And then we had the Victorian breakout, and what happens in Victoria and Sydney has a ripple effect all across the country.
It does.
Yeah. So that slowed things down again. And then like, lo and behold, we've had an outbreak on the weekend here, and now we find ourselves in lockdown for 6 days.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm glad it's been, honestly, they've got onto it really quickly this time. So they haven't let it get out of hand. But I know that there were a lot of comments from other event people, like bands and singers and so forth, and they were a little bit disappointed that they weren't included, I guess, or they felt a little bit excluded from what was happening. So what are your thoughts on that for the next event?
Yeah, well, look, interesting is that my world is speakers, so that's why I'm not speakers. There was a few people who goes, oh, what about wedding events? And I go, well, that's not my specialty either.
No.
So, but at the same time, I have massive feels for musicians and entertainers, because I spoke to a fabulous guy from a band, and like his whole life is centered on entertaining people. Like every weekend he's playing somewhere, maybe twice that weekend, and getting on stage and having a lot of fun and sending out that energy, and everybody's bouncing off it. They're dancing and having a good time, and then that just stops. And like, because what do I do now?
Yeah.
And it's soul destroying.
Yeah. I mean, everything's got to be hybrid now, I think. I mean, even for speakers, they need to be hybrid. They just can't rely on in-person events anymore. They have to, be able to go online, and they just have to learn how to do it and do it comfortably. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. And so, how is the new speaker module going?
Yes. Yep. So it's funny because I was going to say, like, you'll be one of the first to know this. So I thought I'd keep a little world exclusive for this chat.
This is a world exclusive. It will be.
Yeah, it will be. It certainly will be. Is all right. So what you're asking about is speaker engine.
Yes.
So yes. So a biggie for us, and it's a good learning curve. And again, going back to saying how can we do things differently, and as you've just mentioned, hybrid. What's the new future going to look like? You know, as presenters have to get online. Like even for myself, we've just bought some new lights. You know, the sound's got to be right. Speakers have got to stop having the laptop look up their nose and tune.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, for the love of God, don't do that. But yeah, it's a whole new ball game. It's almost like going back to Gary of like this whole talking to camera.
Yeah.
It's like, and you've got to own it. Or some great guys like Warwick Merry there, who's
Oh, yeah, isn't he fabulous?
just the best guy. You know, but as he said to me, he's using some of his best material to the camera. You know, he hopes they're laughing at the other end.
Yeah.
And you've just got to apply through that. You got to go, yeah, that'll be funny. They'll like that, and just bring the energy. So you've got to bring the energy. You know, that's so important because people can sit in the chairs, get distracted, put you on mute, you know, head off. Oh, my camera's not working, all that sort of thing. So that's why I think it's got to be shorter with more impact as compared to a keynote. You can be at a keynote, 45 minutes can fly by. But once you're sort of sitting just glued to the telly kind of thing or the computer screen, it's a different ball game.
Yep.
So I think everything's changed. I think another wonderful speaker is Ian Stevens, and he called this a time almost like an intermission, but it even changed around on an intermission. So we really want to have taken this time to have a good look at our offerings and what we can do coming out the other side. And I like to think that it's almost like a new starting line. You know, some things you don't want to go back to the way they were, and some things we busted. You know,
We'll never go back to the way we were ever.
Nah, it's going to take some time, maybe with vaccines and the like. But yeah, you know, if it all gets, yeah. So we've got to think differently, you know. And interestingly, we're working with a couple of speakers who have never embraced digital, and they've never had to. You know, like work has always just kept on coming. You know, it's like our conference is coming up, this conference coming up, and people handing things to them on a platter, and that sort of stopped. You know, we've seen speakers' income just crash, burn, and just come to a standstill. Again, very difficult. You think of some speakers who were doing particularly well, you know, might have gone and bought a nice house, and you know, and now the bank's gone, well, now you have to pay for it. You know?
Yeah.
What's happened to my income? So they're looking at reinventing themselves, and the only way to do that is digital and getting on board, online, and using every tool possible to get an audience. So going back to so we were dealing with a lovely guy called Josh. He was our digital marketing partner and far more technical savvy than I'll ever be. And yeah, let's not kid ourselves.
You and me both, yeah.
But it was a case of what else can we do, Josh? Like, how can speakers get themselves out there? How can they get more people looking at them and finding what their offering is? So we wanted, even with the Book Speakers Direct, we're a directory, you know, so it was like, what else can we give clients? You know, what's something like almost tangible, like they can work with? So yeah, Josh goes, well, I'm actually working on something, and it fit it perfectly, you know. So now speakers have got to look at landing pages, you know, they've got to look at how they communicate with clients, because some speakers that I've known for like 20 years didn't even have a CRM.
Wow.
And he goes, I don't know. And they're going, oh, those speakers, oh, but that client moves on. You go, but that's your opportunity to call them and go, well, who's now there? You know, and then you update your CRM. You know? And they go, never had to do that before, but now we have to. So we wanted like marketing software, which is what Josh has created with speakerengine.com. And there's like a world of like there's about 5, 6, 7, 8 apps all rolled into one. Like for those who are a lot more tech savvy than I, they love it because it's like a one-stop shop marketing package. Like quite often as happens in the digital world, one app doesn't talk to the other, and then you got to go do this, take that out, put it in here. Where this here has it all, and it'll have things like two-way text messaging marketing. You can be sending something out to their clients on their phone, they come back to it, and you start communicating with them straight away from here. Just so many opportunities, unlimited landing pages, courses, so where speakers want to run their courses online. In fact, that's the webinar we finished earlier today with this fabulous lady, Angela McMillan. Do you know Angela?
Yes, I do know Angela, yeah.
Yeah. So Angela was doing very well with what the different apps that she was working with, but she loves Speaker Engine because it's all in that one place that I mentioned. So she's transferring everything into Speaker Engine.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. So what we're going forward is going to be the Book Speakers directory and Speaker Engine, and people can add them together. So you get your directory and you also get the software, and that comes in a light and a pro. So for those who are all across it will want to go down the pro, and for those who just want to get started, there'll be the light package. And the world exclusive, little drum roll that I mentioned.
Yes,
is that we are going to reduce the price of Book Speakers Direct in a big way, because Phil, right now, the most important thing is to get work again. Get speakers to work. And we're going to make it like $500 plus GST, and then get on our directory.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, we just wanted to make a no-brainer. Got to be doing this. So they get on with the Book Speakers Direct. They can have their web page on there. So it's almost like a mini website. We'll have all the details. They can have videos. The show reel can be on there. Pictures, what people will take away from it. We're very pleased with the type of page that people get as compared to what else might be out there for a bureau, where it gives the client an opportunity to call you straight away. And for $500 for the year,
wow, that is a good price.
Yeah, it's a bit of a no-brainer. So we want to help people kickstart 2021 and beyond. So we're thinking if anybody's in that planning mode about, I want to get my life together after this COVID, is that we want to meet the market, help people out, and then this software packaging that starts from $1,500 a month, which includes the Book Speakers directory as well. So, and we can do it like for $150 a week, that sort of thing. And then for those who are the tech savvy and want to go pro, that's $3,000 for the year. And when we've compared that to things like Kajabi and other platforms, that you would normally be paying about $5,000 plus for that. And things are limited, where everything with us is unlimited on that side of it. So we're excited about, and it's actually a world first. So yeah,
it is.
It's
got the Gerry spin.
But yeah, like, and what we are very proud of, it genuinely is. So nobody has ever come up with like a directory and marketing software.
No.
It's all about giving you as many tools as possible. And it gives everybody a fresh chance.
I know, and I get my little posse on there as well. So there you go.
Yeah, and soon we'll be adding your new news to it.
All right, my darling. Well, thank you so much. You have been an absolute delight, and congratulations on the new platform, because I know it'll be just as engaging and as successful as your Book Speakers Direct.
Thank you so much, Rose.
All
really
right,
appreciate
talk
this.
soon.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.